Hi everyone, and welcome back to our weekly live AMA session. This week we have Amisha back with us for COVID and diabetes and the kind of diet we need to follow when we are dealing with both of these issues. Uh, Hi Ami, thank you for
Hi,
coming back for our
thank you.
AMA. How have you
Always
been?
happy. I'm good. I'll always look forward for coming on the platform and discussing about the diabetes and related things.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure to have you here as well. And so this week, last week in our live session, we had talked about COVID and diabetes. How these two illnesses tend to influence each other, and what is the impact on people if they have to deal with both, etc. So this week we want to start with talking about people who are diabetic and why is it important for them to take precautions when it comes to COVID.
So we know that the COVID is an immune compromised thing. Like if your body attacking system, the immune system is not good, it can, make you prone to more of the susceptible to the infection, and it can lead you to the wrong way. Where when it comes to diabetes, why it becomes like one step ahead and you have to take an extra care. There has been a lot of talk about, if you are diabetic, make sure that you are taking one step ahead extra care. The reason is the body is already inflamed, and body is susceptible to some kind of the resistance. And on top of that, if you get infected, it creates stress on the body, and it can make it more worse than the people who have got COVID and they are not diabetic. So this is the reason that when you are diabetic, it's not the I would say the cause that if you get the COVID, you're gonna get affected to it, and the things are gonna go worse for it. But what is important is, if you are a diabetic, you have to make sure that your sugars are under control, so that if your immune system gets compromised, you can recover well. But if your sugars have been completely out of the goal and out of the target range, and if you get affected with any kind of a condition, it's not just the COVID, it might be a normal fever or normal pneumonia kind of thing, where the smallest stress on the body can lead you to the wrong way. So it's very important that you take care when such, if your sugars are out of your range.
And when if someone has gotten, if they have diabetes and they have also gotten COVID, so generally they would be in touch with their general physician. They will be in touch with the person who's giving them the medicines for the COVID. But would you say that it's important only to speak to the doctor who's treating for COVID?
No. So here plays a very major important role that you keep your diabetologist under the loop, because with the stress, with the immune system getting affected, there are counter regulatory hormones which work exactly opposite to your body system which is working. So here there are chances that your sugars are going to be on a higher side. If your COVID has been severe and the doctor has put you onto the steroids, that it can affect more. And already if you have the history of uncontrolled sugars, it can make it more worse. Even if you have a normal sugar and you have got, it's very very mandatory that you keep your diabetologist under the loop, because that is a time, even if you are on the lower dose, you need the change in the dosages. Or if doctor needs to improve the like change your medicines if it is needed. Even if it is not needed, you have to be make sure that you are in touch with your doctor. That's a very first and foremost goal about it. don't do that, that it's okay, my general physician know I am a diabetic. But they are already loaded with lot of patients right now. So it might even, they might just skip it, and they might no, not even think about it, that I have to change the medicine, or I have to ask them to keep a check on the sugars and report it to me. So it's always better to work in a team and have your diabetologist and your general physician, so that both are doing their respective work and you have been on the safer zone. So this is the reason you need to have this, a group of your doctors with you when you are affected with the COVID.
Right. So when you're keeping all of these doctors in the loop, they will be basically checking the medication, checking if the dosage needs to be changed. They will be keeping track of your blood sugar, right?
Yeah,
These are
so
the things
they
that.
will ask you to do the check on your sugars, and like initially they, if your sugars were controlled, so they would have asked you to do it once a month or once in 2 months, or as and when, as per your readings. But with the COVID, they might ask you to do 3 readings a day or 4 readings a day, just to understand you are not going into the very higher zone, or into the hypos.
Right.
That's low sugar.
Okay. And what would you say are the important precautions that we need to take if we have both diabetes and COVID?
So the first and foremost is, of course, you need to make sure that you are taking your medicines on time, because with the COVID there are ample of medicines comes, and from the vitamins to the steroids and everything with the severity of the condition. So on top of it, you felt, okay, yaar, I don't want to take diabetes medicine, or I will skip this medicine now. My sugars are okay, or I will lower the dosage of it. Don't do that. Whatever the prescription is, write it down, note it down that you have taken it, so you don't skip on the medicines. Second is, you make sure that you are having your check on the sugars. So you should have a ample supplies of your testing strips and the glucometer. So that's very important. Getting a ketone body ketone kits from the medical is important, because if your sugars shoot up, there are chances that you might land into a diabetic ketoacidosis, and you don't know. And already you are into a quarantine zone, so you don't know what to do, and if the doctor asks you, so you should have something which is handy, and doctor can, tell you, and if it is there, the treatment is started. So this is very important. The fourth thing is to make sure whatever you eat is healthy, whatever you are eating is in accordance to your condition. So you feel कि COVID है ठीक है, my sugars are fine, so I can eat whatever I want. No, because this is the time where you need the utmost nutrition. It's not about कि कुछ भी खा सकते हो. It's not about if you are an alcohol drinker, you can have alcohol if your COVID is minor. No, you have to make sure, you have to understand that the condition is severe. So the food also plays a very important role. And last is hydration. At times we just forget to hydrate ourselves, because we are so stuffed with the medicines. Every 3 hours we have to take some or the other thing. So this is very important, because if you have a fever and the fever has not gone down for 3 days or 4 days, so it might land you into a dehydration zone. And high sugars also causes a dehydration, so it's always make sure that your water is going in. Keeping a water bottle next to you is very very important. So these are the things. When you are diabetic and you have got the COVID, this both goes in hand, so you should prepare all the things and keep everything together. And you should report to one of your family members, that tell them that if I forget, please make me this reminder. So, because in the stress, because you're not well, or due to weakness, you might forget. It's not your fault. But if you keep someone in a loop, so things are easy. So, this is very important. And of course, with the temperature monitoring and the SpO2 monitoring, that doctor will give you the guidance. So, you should have all that machines handy with you, so that things are not going out of your box.
Yeah. And you spoke about keto acidosis. For those of us who don't know, can you explain a little bit more about it?
Okay, so what happens is, in ketoacidosis, when your body sugar is raised. Okay, so body is no longer able to take the sugars for the energy purpose. So that is there in your blood, but what will do, the cells are starving. So at that time the fat gets mobilized and the ketones are produced. So ketones gives us energy in place of sugars. So when this ketones level rises to the above the normal level, it can land you into ketoacidosis. It is so severe that it can land you to coma also. So that is where, and the main thing is you get the smell. How do you know that your body is diverting into the ketoacidosis? So your body might get a smell of an acetone. You get severely dehydrated. There is, blurriness. You don't, there is unconsciousness, or there is you don't know what's happening. So this are the few symptoms. The first and foremost is you get the smell of acetone from the body. So you can understand that your body is diverting into this ketoacidosis. So that's why the ketone sticks are available in the market. So you dip into the urine and you see that whether your body has not landed into that zone. That's why that becomes very important into the illness state.
Okay. And if it does turn out that this symptom has been developed, then the immediate step would be to.
Yeah, so that doctor will help you out with the higher level of insulin or whatever the protocol needs at that time for the particular patients.
Okay. So that's also why it's very important to keep the doctors in the loop.
With the illness, ketoacidosis, and especially in type 1, is very common compared to type 2.
Hmm.
So this is according to the severity and according to the type of diabetic you are. So that's why it's very important. No, you have to make your doctor in loop.
Right. And can you talk to us a little bit about how a diabetic person, what steps can we take to prevent COVID infections?
So first of all, when the first and foremost is, if you're going out, up your mask. Without the mask you're not going out. That's a thumb rule for next 1 year, 2 years, till you see even the COVID goes lighter. You have to make sure that your mask is up when you speak to people. The
Right.
second important thing is the sanitizer should be there with you. Don't touch unnecessary surface if it is not required. And if you have touched, make sure that you sanitize your hand. If
Right.
you haven't, don't touch your eyes or nose, or don't make direct contact with the mouth or eyes or something, because it can, the smallest infection can also get affected.
Right.
Third important is, if your sugars are very abrupt, so don't go into such places which is so crowded, or the your things are going to be little bad. So you will be the first, you will be highly prone person to such infection. So it's
Hmm.
not that if your sugars are, you're not allowed to go out, but you are at the highest risk compared to the normal person. So you might feel well, why I am the person and why the other person didn't got it, but your condition was different. So this is very important. If until and unless it is not necessary, don't step out. So that's very important. When you are like, if you feel little cold, or you're not well, or you just feel that there is a little temperature, don't push yourself and go out. Take a rest for that day till your temperature comes down, or till you're feeling good, and then go. Don't go because I don't want to skip it or something. It is just preventing the other 10 days to get wasted. So that's very important. If you see someone has some cold, or they are not feeling well, or there is some, or you see they are sneezing continuously and they are not wearing a mask, go away from them for your betterment. They might not have anything, but you might get the a little small spark is also very dangerous. So these are
And
the
they
things
just
which has
use
to
it.
be detected.
And so now we can come to talking about the our diets, and like basically the role that our diet plays, the role that food plays when it comes to infections, preventing them, like recovering from them.
So food is important in all the state. Be it like only diabetic, be it only a fever thing, or only COVID. Food is the major. We say, no, food heals you. So that's very important. But when it comes to COVID, people are already so much paranoid. They are like once the COVID strike, or now almost like 50-60% have gone through it, and they know how the things goes into the body, and you're so weak, so irritated, so tired that you don't have any energy to do. So people have got one basic, that to get an energy you need to eat a high calorie food. Means if you eat laddus, then only you will get an energy. So you eat dates ka laddu, or you eat the peanut laddu, then only things are going to be fine. That will only provide you an energy. Here what we are looking forward is the good combination of meals, which has proteins, which has antioxidant, which we spoke about it in the menopause AMA, that how antioxidant plays an important role in boosting immunity, and we have been talking this since day one of our AMA. So that's very important. Good fats are important. I'm not talking about eating a fried food, but the good fats in the form of nuts, seeds are very important. Getting a good carbs, not a high level, like a high GI carbs, a simple carbs. So that is not required. You need a complex carbs which creates a the it helps you in giving your satiety plus controls your sugar. So that is important. Fruits, vegetables, all these are important, but how to be added? First and foremost, it shouldn't be the meals where you eat only 2 meals a day. It has to be three major meals, three minor meals at an interval, so that your body is constantly getting an energy. So if you eat one meal and then you don't eat for next 5 hours, the body will be starving. So in this, the things gets little tweaked. So you need to eat food. On top of that, when you are eating, you have to make sure there is no kacha food, because already you are infected prone. Slices of infection can get make the things worse. So not having the kacha salad, but you can just put it into the warm water, scrap it, and then have the cucumber tomato. That is fine. So you're just deleting the smallest infection from the food. Having a lot of soup, the soups, so COVID affects your lungs, and there is a mucus formation, and there is a cough and all which is happening. When you have a hot soup, it helps in releasing the cough from your lungs, and it helps in keeping it lighter. So adding a soup in your diet, which also works as the vitamin giver, which has a fibers also, so it will be very helpful in all the ways. Adding the nuts to it, which gives an omega 3, which gives an antioxidant in your diet, so that plays a very important role. When it comes to the food part, breakfast, lunch, dinner, so it shouldn't be only roti sabzi, which is only carbs. You need a protein to get that muscle, the muscle which has lost due to fever or due to the illness, which we need to replenish that. So we need a good protein at that time. So breakfast, if you cannot digest milk for the illness purpose, at times people cannot digest milk when you are ill, so go for the protein powder. There's no harm in taking protein powders. So there are diabetic protein powder available in the market, which not only provides you an energy but gives you the required protein. And it understand, during the stress, the requirement of your protein increases compared to what a normal person is having it. So, and in that only we forget to eat the protein. So that's where you need to add a protein powder in your meals. So in a breakfast, in mid evening. So this is important. Then you have to make sure that your meal doesn't have only rice and sabzi. Of course, you cannot digest at times because your gut is affected. So you can have khichdi, you can have curd rice, you can have the food which is easier and lighter on the stomach. Not to have like because the mouth taste is altered. You feel, today I will have vada pav, or I will have samosa, or I will have a fried toast sandwich, not which is an heaviest meal, not the maida thing. So this has to be avoided. Add wheat, add jawar, add bajra in your diet, add oats in your diet. So simple oatmeal is okay in the breakfast. For the lunch, you can have jawar roti, dal, sabzi. That is more than enough. Mid morning, you have a soup and a nuts. Then evening, you have a protein powder and a fruit. Or you can have a chana sattu and a fruit. Then mid evening again you can have a round of a dal soup, or anything like a dal vegetable soup. And dinner, again a roti sabzi and a paneer. anything which this combination which is lighter, you don't have to cook also, because again the cooking becomes very challenging when you are infected with COVID. And if the full family is affected, it's practically impossible to get this thing, and 90% people are dependent on the outside sourcing of the food. So this year we need to make sure that then what is our go to thing is nuts, fruits, and the protein powder. So even if you have these three things in your diet and rest you just have from the outside is fine, so that you are supporting your body at some level. We might talk very, we might plan also well for you, but if it is not practically possible, then it all goes waste and you are not going to recover. If you want to prevent your after illness when you come out from COVID, you have to make sure you are eating right. And eating right means not the fried foods, not the packet foods, not the sweet food or something, but eating a right quality of the protein. Be it comes from the dal, sprouts, paneer, or egg if you are an vegetarian, and a protein powder. Adding this to it, adding antioxidant into fruits, in nuts into your diet, adding vitamins, vegetables, fruits to your diet. So this is very important, and making sure that you are not overdoing on your oil and ghee.
Right. Yeah, so that's a very comprehensive meal planning that you've given us. I mean, thank you so much. Basically, just to recap, you have mentioned the importance of ensuring that the diet is balanced, right? Just because we are feeling low on energy does not mean that we just get something that has a quick energy rush, like chocolate or something sweet. Instead, we need to go for a more balanced and
But
throughout the
here
day.
I would like to add one thing which I forgot in form of in term of diabetic patient. At times, diabetic patient has a low issue, hypoglycemia, which we
Yeah.
talk about. So during that time, you definitely need a first class sugar to be added. So keeping that also handy so that things doesn't go worst is very important. So keeping a sugar cubes or a glucon D capsules with you so that you can recover from hypos faster.
Okay. Right. So it's basically like it's a very organized way in which you have explained this,
Thank you.
to have the whole balanced, including proteins, including complex carbohydrates, right? And low GI with the focus on low GI foods, and also something just in case of hypoglycemia.
So food becomes very challenging, Anushka, in this
Mhm.
period, because people are talking left, right, center about the food. But what
Yeah.
is more challenging is how to arrange that food.
Right.
If the full
Yeah.
family is COVID positive, is it,
Yeah.
it's not practically possible, and the situation is so worse. The one who is cooking also
Mm.
has no energy, so how to make sure that all the ingredients are available. So from that we have to pick up two three things which we can do it on the easier zone, and which
Hmm.
is not affecting our health, and which is helping us to come out of this illness. So
Yeah.
this is also important. So practicalness is important. Everyone will talk, everyone will have the think कि तुम ये करो वो करो, but what
Hmm.
is practical is important. Half
So I
of the
think,
time I've seen COVID people have ordered from the tiffin services, and I've
yeah.
seen the tiffin services are highly like it is covered with oil. I've seen
Okay.
people eating missile and pav with lot of oil, and
Ah,
then it has a highest impact on the acidity, cough, and the coughing thing just goes worst. So here the just a small changes also might have a greater impact, and they will have the safe 14 days period.
yeah. Yeah. So I think that's also where something like a diabetic protein powder will come into handy, right? Because it's not a lot of effort to prepare that and
you
have it.
It's like, no, you are not dependent on anyone. You don't have to tell this is my time, you give me this food. This with
Yeah.
you, if you are hungry, you just putting it in the water, mixing it and having it. So you
Yeah.
get all the balanced nutrition from carbs, proteins, fats, vitamins, minerals. One protein powder can be your complete meal.
Okay. Right. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And thank you for, putting it so clearly. So, when it comes to immune boosting, protein is one part of that. Is that correct? And as well as antioxidants. Right? So, could you? We had discussed this in our previous AMA as well, but could you talk a little bit more for the people who are watching this time about antioxidants?
So antioxidants are the food which helps in up giving us the uh, our immune cells that kick and which protect us from the further deteriorating in the conditions. So adding lot of, like, you put the nuts, oil seeds in your diet can be very helpful, which is the easiest thing which you help. Almonds, walnuts, you add into the diet. You add the fruits into the diet. You add the berries. Now the season of the berries are there, so you can add that into the diet. You add, like, avoid you fruits, all kind of a fruits you can add. This is what you should be adding it into your antioxidant zone.
Okay. And is there any, so basically, is there any food that is good for diabetes but not good for COVID? Or the other way around, something that is good for COVID but might
No,
not be
but
good for
no, nothing
diabetes?
can be like that. So it's just that if what form you are having it. So if you are having like a sprouts, at times people have an habit of eating a sprouts, kacha. So kacha would not go well when it is come to COVID, because it creates a it can affect your digestion power. So you should have a boiled sprouts is vitamin C rich, so it's antioxidant. You get the proteins also, so protein rich. You get the fibers also. So this is how, if you have a you have to take a boiled food. You cannot
Okay.
have the kacha one.
Okay. So basically, it's not about the type of food that's differing, but the manner in which we are consuming it.
Sometimes if we have, like, spinach also comes with a lot of antioxidant, calcium, B12, folic acid. So this
Yeah.
is something, if you have a cut. So usually people have that habit of having a spinach in the salad form, a baby spinach sometime. So that plays a very important role how you are eating it. So adding it in the boiled blanch form is very important.
Okay. Okay. And so we have spoken about the kind of diet to follow when we are looking for prevention, when we are looking at it during COVID, and the whole recovery period and everything. But what about post COVID? Are there any impacts that last after the COVID, and what kind of food should we have during that time?
Post COVID also the things go similarly what you are doing it during the COVID. So it's nothing no to it, or nothing adding up to it. You have to make sure that for after 14 days of your quarantine period, you are doing it for, you're maintaining your diet for more 14 days where you are not going out. So it's, see, 14 days period is like a lock-up day. Once you are out, you feel you want to eat everything. Let me eat for 2 days, then I will see. Don't do that. It will affect your gut to the worst thing, because your gut bacteria are already been affected. So that has to be taken care, and you make sure that you, at least for a week, you are not eating any outside food. Of course you want to eat a tasty food and have the outside your savories, but keeping in mind that for a week you make sure you are eating a home based food. Make a food which you like at home level, but don't go out and eat. Avoid the spicy food which can affect you. So avoid the spicy fried food. So keep that level for a week going in, but there is nothing which you should be adding it up or just minusing. You have to continue that level. That's it. And coming to the activity, when post COVID you should start or not, depending upon how severity your condition was during the COVID, taking guidance from your doctor that whether you are allowed to go for a walk, and if yes, that how much you should be walking, whether it should be a brisk walking or only a stroll. You have to take a permission from a doctor, because based on your lung condition, they will give you an allowance that whether you are fit to start now or you have to go after 15 days or a month. So
Hmm.
all small small things post COVID, take a help from your doctor or your physician, and then start. Don't start randomly, because now you are out, everything is fine. So you don't know, your doctor is the best advisor to you.
That makes sense. So, and is there anything like lung healthy food or anything specifically? Will that
So
help?
yes, so when lungs are affected, we always make sure that you don't have a high GI food. That basically goes well with your diabetics also. And we
Yeah.
ask them not to have the, large meal at one time. It can affect the lungs and make you, breathless, and it can cause a lot of breathlessness, palpitation. So you have to eat a small meal at a frequent intervals, so that the body is digesting well, and that is no effect on your lungs. So that's very important. Making sure that you have a good amount of proteins in the diet, good fat. So it's not about highly oily food or something, but shifting your normal oil to olive oil. Olive oil gives that support to your lungs too. So omega 3 and all is very good. Antioxidants are very good, as we spoke about it. So with the lungs, this plays a very important role. So whatever which we covered, that the vitamins are needed, minerals are needed, so this covers when it comes to lungs also. And it is a low carb food which you need. So basically in diabetes also, we are talking about the moderate carbs, right? It's the
Yeah.
same thing.
So that's actually really helpful. That a lot of the diet that we need for diabetes is also very similar to what we need for COVID. So it is basically just a matter of being really strict with that, I guess. Being really
Yes.
disciplined about it and being really careful, right? Thanks so much, Ami, for taking the time to talk to us about this. And
Thank you.
thanks
We have
to
any questions?
I think we have covered all the questions that we've
Okay.
gotten from our viewers as well.
Okay.
And, thanks for everyone who tuned in today for this session. We hope you found this really informative. We will have
And
more such sessions.
yeah, if any one of you have a question, you can just post it in the comment section, and I will be happily answering it post
Yes, yes.
live also.
Yeah, on the Facebook group itself, the post that we
Yes.
have for this session, you can just leave your questions there, and anyone who's watching this afterwards also, same goes. Ami will
Yes.
always be happy to answer the questions. And thanks a lot, Ami. And
Thank
I
you.
hope to see everyone back for next week's AMA
Next
live
weekend.
as well. Yeah. All right. Thank
And
you.
thank you. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye.